Easy A follows the story of high school student Olive Pendergast, your everyday quirky outcast who's overheard in the bathroom while retelling a fake story to her best friend. One that leads to a web of lies, deception, and spicy rumors that seem impossible to get away from. Not that she wants to. And that's why today in Flick Summary, Easy A. The film opens with Olive doing a live transmission where she decides to tell her version of all the juicy gossip that has been going on at school. But we will get to that later.
So here it is, part 1.
As she narrates, she admits she was never particularly popular or noticed at school. Sounds doubtful, given that she's everyone's default celebrity crush, but we're listening. As she gives brief details on her high school experience, she begins telling the story of how her life has turned around in just a matter of weeks.
I'm listening.
Flashback to before everything started. Olive is at school with her best and only friend, Ryan. Ryan invites Olive to go camping with her parents, but she isn't too thrilled about the idea, as her best friend's parents are particular, to say the least. A little too naked is how I describe them.
You want some dessert?
No, thank you. I'm trying to watch my figure.
However, Olive doesn't want to tell Ryan that her parents weird her out, so as anyone would, she makes up an excuse and tells her she has a date.
Wish I could, but I can't.
Ryan attempts to convince Olive, but our girl remains insistent on staying behind for her date. We'd all do the same, honestly.
That makes sense to me.
As Olive victoriously dodges Ryan's invitation, she spends her weekend fumbling around with a card that plays the iconic Pocketful of Sunshine, giving us a scene that became a cultural reset. Isn't that how we'd love to spend our weekends? The following Monday, Ryan becomes inquisitive about Olive's fake date, asking her all the details and everything that went on. As she gets caught up fabricating the lie, Olive claims she spent the entire weekend with him, leading Ryan to assume that the guy she had gone out with had taken her V card.
But that's not how the story goes.
Olive attempts to convince her otherwise, but Ryan doesn't buy into any of it, dragging Olive into a bathroom so she can spill the beans. Noticing she won't back down, Olive lies and tells her fake story about how George took her virginity.
What have you done?
Oh, Olive, what have you done? Unfortunately for Olive, the girls are overheard by Marian, an overly conservative and devout Christian from school.
Why?
Disgusted with Olive's story, she condescendingly tells her she will be praying for her sinful actions, leading her to spread the word about Olive's weekend. No, she didn't tell everyone about Pocketful of Sunshine, sadly. It's all about Olive's fake date story. As the day drags by, Olive notices she is getting more stares than ever. She realizes Marian had told everyone about the weekend she did not have and labeled her as a floozy. A floozy? What is this? The 50s?
Pathetic.
Marian is a bit of an activist at school, protesting everything and anything she doesn't like. For some time, it was all about the school mascot not wearing a shirt, as it leads to sinful thoughts. Then, it was about the team being called Blue Devils, which clearly makes them Satan worshippers.
Indeed.
Marian managed to change the mascot and team's name to Woodchuck. The power of protest, right? Once Marian had her sights on what she believed to be Olive's entrance to hell, she decided to actively go against her as well. As word about Olive's virginity gets around, she decides to confront Marian, confessing that what she said in the bathroom was not true. Marian doesn't buy it and tells her that she's not the one she has to answer to, as there is a higher power out there that will judge her for her indecency.
There's a higher power that will judge you for your indecency.
Tom Cruise.
Precisely. Shouldn't she leave the judgment to the higher power? Not used to being the center of attention, Olive remembers the last time her sexual endeavors were the talk of the school. Similarly, it had been through a lie. The story goes like this. In 8th grade, while playing 7 Minutes in Heaven, aren't they too young to be doing that? She got matched with her crush, who happens to be the school mascot, Woodchuck Todd. While she is excited to have a shot with him, he refuses to participate but asks her to lie, which she does. In class, Olive has to read The Scarlet Letter, a book she starts relating to, for English literature with Mr. Griffith, her favorite teacher. To put it short, the novel's main character has an affair with a pastor, conceives a daughter out of wedlock, has her reputation absolutely tarnished, and wears the letter A in representation of her sin and adultery. During a class debate about the book, one of Marian's minions shames Olive for her behavior, leading the usually shy and quiet Olive to insult the girl, calling her a twat. Remarkably British, but such a great insult. She gets sent to the principal, who of course scolds Olive for her foul language and gives her detention. Fair. He gives her a final warning that if any sort of language of that sort happens again, she will not be graduating. Now, that's a little too extreme, sir.
That's too much, man!
When in detention, Olive runs into an old friend, Brandon. Brandon, who's gay, has had enough of the constant harassment over his sexuality. Now, an expert in rumors, Olive encourages him to stay in the closet and pretend to be straight, at least until high school is over. Originally offended by her proposition, he declines and tells her she's a lunatic, but also a genius. Don't they go hand in hand?
That's insane.
Later on, after detention, Brandon visits Olive and agrees to pretending being straight, asking her if he could pretend with her.
So you've come to the master for guidance?
This time around, it's Olive who is appalled and refusing to partake in any of it. Funny how things turn out when you suggest things.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
He begs her for a good imaginary bunk, as he has had enough of the bullies. The empath in our Olive shines at this moment. When she finally agrees, she does it with a condition to make it believable, as she doesn't want to half-ass it.
Never half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing.
No, she wants to go big and make it public. If that isn't ambition, I don't know what is. After their agreement, we see the two friends arriving at a party where they pretend to be drunk and all over each other. Olive asks the host if she could use a room so Brandon could finish telling her a really funny joke. The host gets the message and tells them to use her own room. That's a little icky and creepy in a way, but hey, they got a room.
You're weird.
Once alone, the pair drops the drunken facade and engage in sex acting. As a crowd stands behind the door right outside, Olive and Brandon pretend to get it on.
Stop! Stop!
As Olive leaves the party, she gets a call from Ryan, who is upset about her friend's sexcapades and not finding out through her first. Ryan then proceeds to become a rather despicable character and tells Olive to stop flashing her cat around so often.
Just because you lost your virginity doesn't mean you can go around throwing your cat at everybody.
She goes as far as telling our leading lady that her identifier is being a dirty skank.
A dirty skank!
It's okay if you hate her by now, we do too. Enraged by her friend's comment, rightful so, Olive takes matter into her own hands, changing her attitude and style completely. If people were going to talk either way, might as well give them something to really talk about, right? Smart girl. She sews her clothing into tighter, smaller things and adds the iconic A in honor of the scarlet letter. Go get him, girl. Tear him apart.
Go get him, tiger.
As she heads to school, the students are shocked by her sudden change of appearance and attitude as she nonchalantly sexualizes her every move.
Sexy silk, wrap me around.
Wow.
This doesn't sit well with Ryan and starts insulting Olive. Our girl, on the other hand, doesn't care too much, which further enrages Rye, leading her to yell that it's over between them. Things don't go as smoothly as we'd want them though. Olive ran into Mr. Griffith, who seemed confused about his students' rather forward behavior.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Don't forget tomorrow's Earth Day.
It is clear that Olive feels embarrassed, but it doesn't bother her for too long. Later, Marian is reunited with her fellow Christians as they discuss Olive, where they agree to bring her down. That's not very Christian, Marian. I thought we left the judging to the one upstairs.
Stop it. Get some help.
During gym class, Olive is approached by Evan, a fellow student who gets constantly rejected by girls and peers. As it turns out, Brandon told Evan about their little skit and has come to ask Olive for the same favor, which she declines. He offers $100 and offends her even further.
You're entering a world of pain.
Evan then threatens her and says that he will spread it around anyway as people will believe him. No wonder he gets rejected, huh?
Stop it. Get some help.
Defeated, Olive takes the money. This is the moment things started getting crazier. Word gets around that Olive is agreeing to lie about sleeping with other peers in exchange of money. As she gets countless of offers and gift cards, Olive starts becoming the center of attention in school. We return to the live stream as she explains that all she ever wanted was an 80s John Cusack love story, but has never been further away from it.
I want John Cusack holding a boombox outside my window.
Back to the story, Mr. Griffith asks Olive to pay him a visit, one where he hopes to discuss the new persona she has adopted. He attempts to figure out if anything is going on at home, but gets nowhere, leading him to ask Olive to talk to the school counselor, which just so happens to be Mr. Griffith's wife. Nepotism? Olive decides to take his advice and talk to Mrs. Griffith. As she sits down with her counselor, Olive plans to come clean about her story, but before she gets a chance to do so, Mr. Griffith gives her a handful of condoms.
I really don't need those.
Oh, you really do.
Olive attempts to explain why she doesn't need them, but Mrs. Griffith insists, not giving her a chance to tell her story. As she leaves the office, Olive runs into Marian, who is consoling Maika, her 22-year-old still in high school boyfriend Maika. As the boyfriend leaves, Marian in turn does a half-ass, not really interested attempt at consoling the girl, who now thinks she saved her. In an unexpected turn of events, the two become friends. Unfortunately, this newfound friendship doesn't last too long, as Maika receives his chlamydia diagnosis, leading him to lie about who he got it from. Can you guess who, according to him, gave it to him? That's right, our very own Olive Pendergast.
Well, this is gonna hurt like a mother.
As Marian buys into Maiga'S Lie, the brief friendship between the girls is immediately cut off. Unaware of Maiga'S Lie, Olive heads to Mrs. Griffith's office in an attempt to find out what went on with Marian. There, we find the counselor in great distress, as she admits to have been the one that gave Maika chlamydia, which is perfectly legal as he is 22. Flabbergasted, Olive agrees to lie for Mrs. Griffith in order to save her favorite teacher's marriage, and given that Mrs. Griffith's ethics are beyond questionable, she agrees.
You suck as a person!
The next day, school is filled with flyers in an attempt to boycott Olive, who is now fed up of all the lies. Completely alone, she is saddened about the fact that out of all the boys that asked her to lie, none of them made a real attempt to sleep with her, which makes her question if she has a gnome down there or something.
What do you think I have down there, a gnome?
As if her prayers were answered, Anson, a boy from school, asks her out. They go to Lobster Shack and appear to have a decent time. That is of course until Anson offers her $200 in exchange of sex and forces her into a kiss. She fights him off and leaves the date.
She's my queen.
Emotional, she runs into her forever crush, Woodchuck Todd, who consoles her and confesses he doesn't believe any of the rumors going on as she once lied for him too. They admit their feelings to each other and head their separate ways. Finally fed up with all the lies, Olive plans to dismantle everything said about her in the last 2 weeks. She asks Mrs. Griffith to confess to giving Maika chlamydia, but she refuses and claims no one will believe her.
You're entering a world of pain.
This sends Olive into spiraling rage as she runs to Mr. Griffith's office and tells her about his wife's infidelity. She admits this wasn't the way to go about it, but she couldn't bite her tongue this time. Olive and Woodchuck Todd makes matters into their own hands and plan a musical number during the school's prep rally and invite everyone to join her live stream if they want to see more action.
This was just a free preview.
Is that the very first clickbait? We finally cut back to Olive's broadcast as she admits to every lie she told, starting with the one she told Ryan and the ones that followed the web of rumors. As she ends her confession, Woodchuck Talk stands outside her window with a pair of speakers playing Don't You Forget About Me, true to 80s fashion. She then cuts the live stream and heads on a date with the boy of her dreams. Would you look at that? It all worked out for the best. Aww. And that's all for today. Easy A in a nutshell. Tell us which movie should we do next. Let us know about it in the comments. And of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video and share it with your friends. See you next time!